Our next inductee is near and dear to my heart because indeed, as I mentioned, it was my first year broadcasting Aztec football, and he was playing. So walk-on. How the heck do you go from walk-on to All-American? I don't know how many people have done it. Very few ever and ever. This big fellow who now lives in Alabama and told me listens to Aztec games online all the time and does bleed red and black. He was a marvelous offensive guard. They would pull him out, that big body coming around the corner. Cornerbacks would want to go to the locker room and change their clothes, if you get my drift. Seeing Pete bearing down on him, and had simply a marvelous career. Our next inductee to the Aztec Hall of Fame, Mr. Pete Inge.
When you think about leaders at San Diego State, think of walk-on offensive lineman Pete Inge from the late 70s. A two-time AP second-team All-American and first-team All-WAC selection in 1978 and 79, Inge is one of only 13 Aztecs to garner All-American honors in 2 separate seasons. Inge is a 2-time winner of the Byron Chase Memorial Trophy, which is given to the team's outstanding offensive player. Inge helped lead SDSU to a 20-2 record during his freshman and sophomore seasons, and a number 16 final AP ranking as a sophomore in 1977. In addition, the Aztecs rushed for over 2,000 yards as a team in 1976 and over 1,800 in both 1977 and 78. Pete Inge, a member of the 2014 Aztec Hall of Fame.
Offensive guard, and they would use him as the running back on the goal lines, man. Before the Bears even thought about it with the fridge, the Aztecs did it with the Inge, and that's a fact. Presenting him, his former teammate Steve Gertie.
Good afternoon. I was a teammate with Pete in the 76, 77, 78 seasons, and I was also his college roommate. So when Pete called and said, would I say a few words because he wanted someone up here who went through it with him, I said, absolutely, and this is going to be easy. What a great honor. I got 100 stories. And then my wife told me that they had to be appropriate for the occasion, and then narrowed the field just a little bit. And there's a couple of guys in the back of the room that's pretty happy that she did that. First, though, I do want to say congratulations to all the inductees. You guys, what a great group. You guys make us so proud to be Aztecs. Congratulations to you all. Mr. Weiss, Mr. Sturck, thank you very much for putting this on. I do want to acknowledge first, before I say something about Pete, a couple of the coaches in the room, Coach Gilbert, Coach Tollner, Hammer. This is a guy who took a bunch of pretty wild young guys, got them all heading in the right direction, turned them into a team. I look back at those personalities and I realize it had to have been a lot like herding cats. So thank you guys very much. We are deeply, deeply appreciative of that. I first met Pete in the winter of 1976. Like they said, he was a freshman walk-on out of St. Mary's High School in Stockton. I was with the junior college transfers who came in that year. Pete was the only one on the offensive line who was walking on trying to make the team. So he's probably feeling just a little bit underrated. And I have to admit I underrated him a little bit that winter. Not for any obvious reasons. I mean, he was a big enough guy, a little on the short side. I had to get that in there. He was fast. You know, after a couple of pickup games of hoops, you realized he was a great athlete. But he was such a nice guy. He was so quiet. He was so polite. And I thought, he's going to go out and play against these guys? That 76, 77 defense, they put a ton of guys in the NFL. These guys were some serious carnivores. And he was going to go out and play against these guys? Well, that whole thing changed on the very first day of spring training that year. The coaches called us up the first day in pads, and they had a nice little drill, little one-on-one, offensive line, defensive line, one running back, a couple of tackling dummies. No place to go but over the top of each other. Pete drew a pretty tough opponent, came off the ball, and blew him away. So much for Mr. Nice Guy. He won his starting spot that spring, and he started for 4 consecutive years without missing a single game. It speaks volumes to what a tough guy he was. You know, I heard once that playing his position was like going through 70 or 70, 25 mile an hour car wrecks in a season. I don't know how true that is, but I can tell you it's a beating, and he did it year in and he did it year out. Pretty good. It was really, really neat to watch Pete play. I mean, he came off the ball with such power, but what was absolutely amazing is to watch him pull. If he pulled on a sweep and he made it past the end of the line of scrimmage, didn't have to take down a linebacker or a defensive end, and broke into open field, oh, stand up and pay attention. Good things are going to happen. First time I saw him do it, David Deacon Turner was on his tail, God rest his soul, and it was amazing. You know, you didn't know whether that poor DB was coming up was just going to crumble under him, or he was going to do something stupid like stand up and take him on and get launched in the air. And I loved it when he went airborne. It was an amazing deal. Pete was pretty easy to read when you played with him out on the field. You looked over at him, if he was a little bit irritated, if he was a little bit pissed, somebody was going to get hit really hard. If he was walking back and he had that little prance going that he would get going, and he was smiling, or if he was giggling, somebody just got the slobber knocked off him. It didn't really make a difference, you know, whether he was playing an All-American from Iowa or beating up Bobby Bowden's famous Florida State defense. He loved the challenge, and he loved to be challenged. And I think that's why he liked to be booed so much. I tell you, you go on the road with him, and he walk out on the field, and they booed, he'd get all fired up. Boo me! And it was just amazing, you know, to see such a quiet young man get so pumped up. There's a theme here. The one thing is Pete, he could hit you. So please bring up Pete Inge.
Wow, Steve even had me crying with that. Thanks, man. I didn't realize you were talking about me, you know. God. I was doing good till you started talking, you know. I was really, had my speech all down, and now I'm just like all over the place. But anyways, first off, I'd like to start off and congratulate all the other inductees, Kurt, Stephen, Kayla, Kyle. It's such an honor to be up here with you guys, great Aztecs. And I just feel so awesome. Congratulations to all of you. And also, I couldn't come back to San Diego and say something about a good friend of mine who you guys all knew as a baseball player, and that's Tony Gwynn. When I was here at San Diego State, Tony was a basketball player. And like Steve had mentioned, believe it or not, I could play little hoops, you know. So I used to play a lot of pickup games with Tony, and she's truly missed. Rest in peace, Tony Gwynn. And I know right now, Tony, you're probably up there in heaven, dishing out some assists to fellow Hall of Famer Kim Getz and the other Aztec great Steve Malavik. You guys have gone too soon. Rest in peace, my brothers. Okay. Well, like Steve said, my start here on the Mesa was not really your normal beginning to a football career. I began as a walk-on. I had to dress in another locker room, had to bring my own cleats, didn't know anybody in the program. Walked into class, the office actually to sign up, and it's nothing like what we have here now. Our coach, Coach Gilbert, had a little office in the back, a little cement office, and you know, one big desk, and it was just nothing. And I remember I walked in there to sign up for the class, and I didn't know Coach Gilbert. I didn't know anybody, so I gave him my little card. You know, he signed it, and as I'm walking out, I was like, "Wow, that's Claude Gilbert. That's the head coach." I said, okay, wow, So I went out in the spring, started from day one, like Steve said, and went on to the fall. And actually, after the spring, went home for the summer. And I still didn't understand what college football was all about. I was 18 years old, and so I go back to Stockton. I'm hanging out, playing baseball, softball, golfing, just not getting ready for the season. So I come back in the fall. It's August, hot, and Coach Gilbert, they say, okay, the first day we got to run 2 miles for time, And I said, well, I've never run 2 miles before in my life, And I'm really not built for running 2 miles. But so we all lined up, and I know a lot of these guys remember that. But we all lined up to take off, and I'm thinking, okay, man, just eight times around the track, I can do this, I can do it. So we take off. The whole team takes off. About 1 lap in, I'm in last place. About 2 laps in, everybody lapped me. And then 3 laps, they're just running around me, and I'm like this fast. I mean, I'm serious, this fast. I was running like 2 miles an hour, maybe, 0.5 miles an hour. I don't know. It was just slow. And I know all the players, and they were all finished, all on the sidelines. The coaches, they're all laughing at me, and like he said, that was a rough group of players. And they were laughing at me, yelling at me. Coaches were screaming at me, telling me I'm this, I'm that, da-da-da-da-da. And I was just crying, I went into the locker room, and I was all by myself, and I was in tears. And then after that, I wanted to quit. I was just like, I didn't sign up for this, I was like, nah. But at that time, my good friends, Rudy Castellanos and Mike Solari, they were like my best friends. They were seniors. And they pulled me to the side, and they said, you know what, man? Yeah, you're out of shape. You're out of shape, but you can get in shape. He said, but one thing that we liked about that we respect about you, is that you never quit, man. You ran the whole time, and you never stopped, you never walked. You ran the whole time. It took you a long time, but you definitely ran the whole time. And they said, we can work with that. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then I had the privilege of playing on 2 great teams my first 2 years. We were 10-1 both years. And the first year in 1976, we were 10-1, but we really didn't play good. We had good players, but we won games, close games. But we thought we were underachievers. We were 10-1. And the next year, that summer, we all dedicated ourselves to get in the best shape that we possibly could. Came back for the year 1977, and we were ready. And we won 10 games that year, beat Florida State that year, probably considered the greatest Aztec football team in history. And I was a part of that team. And that's where the Aztec legend began to grow. We made national news. We finally got into the spotlight. Didn't get in a bowl game because, back then there's only a couple of bowl games. And I mean, you guys probably can imagine going 10-1, being 16th ranked in the country, and not going to a bowl game. It was like, golly, But that's how it was. And then after that, Steve and all those guys, they were all juniors and seniors when I was a freshman. They all left. And then the very next year, there was only a few of us left over to go into 78. And that was, Katz, a couple other guys, Steve, that had been around. And that's when we made the transition from being independent and going into the Western Athletic Conference, the first year in the WAC, which was a major step up for our program. We were finally going to be in a conference, and it was like a big deal, And we're coming into the conference as with a big time reputation. We just 16th ranked in the country, and we're coming in thinking we're going to go in here and we're going to beat all these dudes. I mean, we're going to wear them out, and didn't go quite that way. First game we played on the road in the WAC, cold, rainy night in Texas, El Paso, man. and we lost. We got beat bad, and we had owned Texas El Paso a couple years, but they beat us. And then they started. We're in the locker room after the game, and they started this chant that carried on through the whole season. It was, "Welcome to the WAC. Welcome to the WAC." They just shouted it over and over and over, and it just drilled in my ears. Every time we lost on the road, the teams would say that, "Welcome to the WAC." I thought it was some kind of conspiracy. They got together, all these teams, and decided that after they beat us, they're just going to tell us, "Welcome to the WAC," So after that season, we were 4-7, and I was mad all year, And it was coming into my last year. I just started, 36 games in a row, and I was not going to go out a loser. And we were 4-7. I just wasn't happy with that. So that spring, we got a bunch of new guys in, and we still had a few holdovers from the team before. And we had some good seniors, some really good seniors. Myself, Kevin Fidel, a couple other guys. And we just took it upon ourselves to carry that team, to make us, show them how it's done, because we had been there before. And so the season came along. We started off, and we went to, I believe it was New Mexico, and that was our first victory on the road. And so I was sitting there, I talked a little trash sometimes, But they were saying, "Welcome to the WAC," so I started yelling back at them, the whole crowd. "Red and black is back, baby. Red and black is back. And on top of that, we're going to win the WAC, And I don't think Coach Gilbert liked that a whole lot. But I was serious, I really meant that. And we were back. And we went all the way to the championship game, and with a team that was undersized, undermanned, but we had a lot of heart, a lot of chemistry, and we finished the season 8-3. My last game that I played was a game that was on national television. And that sounds funny to a lot of you young guys, but back then, there was only one game of the week on national TV. There was only one network. And it was that week, we played Brigham Young. It was the first national televised game probably for San Diego State, I would imagine. I'd been there 4 years. They'd never been on before, so. But yeah, we got to the national championship, not national championship, but national televised game of the week. Al Michaels and Eric Parsegian were the announcers, and so we were like, we reached the top. We brought our program up. Of course we went out and got killed that game, but but that's another story, and that was how I ended my career. But I really wanted to thank Coach Gilbert, Coach Toner, Hammer. I love you guys, man. You were always there, always. And I'd really like to say something about my line coach. All these guys out here, all the O-line, all those boys. Yeah, it's really special, really special. And if Otto was here right now, he'd be telling us, well, actually, he'd probably be standing over there smoking a cigarette. But we were all Otto's kids, Otto and Claude and Ted. You guys, this is for all of you guys. I couldn't do this by myself. I was just a walk-on kid, little kid from Stockton, undersized, little bitty guy. It was funny when I was looking at some of these guys today. They looked at me and they were like, actually yesterday when I went into the football locker room, they got these huge guys now. The guy looks at me and he says, "Wow, and you were an offensive lineman?" And I'm like, yeah. "Ah, no, you're kidding, man. You were an offensive lineman." I said, "Okay, man, yeah, whatever, And I told him, I said, "You know what? That's the same exact thing that every opponent that I ever had said to me." I'd walk out there for the coin toss, and these guys would look at me, look down at me, and they think, "Wow, man, we take that dude, They had another thing coming. So really, I wanted to thank all you guys for coming out, and really great honor to be here with all the other inductees. Coach Gilbert, Coach Toner, Hammer, thank you so much for coming, man. It means so much to me. And like like they said, I live in Alabama now, but believe me, I wear all my Aztec gear down there. They don't know what it is, but but they all wear it. I mean, I wear it. I got a hat with a spear on it, you know, to San Diego. It's SD, but to them that means Florida State, you know. So they're walking around, oh, you're from Florida State? And I'm like, no, man, it's San Diego State, you know. And they're like, well, where's San Diego? It's like, God, man, roll tide, roll tide. I'm so sick of hearing roll tide, man. But anyways, thank you guys for coming out. I love all y'all. I've been an Aztec for life all of my life. And now, honestly, I'm an Aztec forever. I'll be here forever. Thank you.